China is open for business. That's the message ahead of the country's first ever International Import Expo. Now, the Expo gets underway on Monday and is expected to attract heads of states, industry chiefs and company bosses from around the globe. Over 100 African companies will be represented at the Expo. Well, CGTN's Rama joins us now live from Shanghai with more. Rama, of course, just to begin with, how seriously is Africa taking this Expo? Just give us an idea of who's expected to attend and what they hope to get out of it.
Indeed. So we're looking at about 11 countries, at least 11 countries represented at this event, either with formal country delegations, which includes head of state and ministers, or businesses from those countries. Now, this event is vitally important, not just for the development of African businesses in the future, but also the rebalancing of African trade flows with China. You've got just about everyone here, large industrial interests in commercial farms like Sadat Agro from Egypt, smaller agro processors like Ashora Farms in Rwanda, they're represented here too. So if that 40% decline that we've seen in bilateral trade between China and Africa between 2014 and 2016 is going to be reversed, it has to be done. The heavy lifting has to be done by firms like those exporting more produce into China. Lindy?
And of course, we know that China and Africa have a very strong, very long-standing trade relationship. What could this Expo do to grow that relationship further or see it take a bit of a different shape, as you've suggested?
Indeed, so the nature of the trade relationship, at least until 2014, was that commodities from some African countries, oil from Angola, iron ore and coal perhaps from South Africa, went in one direction, and consumer goods and industrial machinery and industrial inputs flowed in the other direction. But what the commodity price crash did in 2014 was it exposed just how heavily reliant and concentrated on commodities countries in Africa really were. So fixing that will mean more countries exporting a lot more different produce, but then that raises a couple of nagging questions as well. To what extent, for example, will African economies try and shield some of the economic sectors with tariff and non-tariff barriers? We've seen Kenya trying to do that with a forthcoming ban in all bats name on tilapia imports from China. So finding that key balance will likely be explored in a lot more detail at next week's event.
And of course, we know it officially all gets underway on Monday. What are some of the highlights on the agenda that we should be looking out for in the days to come, Rama?
Indeed, so let's just condense this as quickly as we can. The event formally, as you said, gets underway on Monday, the 5th of November. There will be an opening speech from China's President Xi Jinping. We have seen tariff cuts on some imported goods coming into the country already. There's been a bit of a glide path on that from the Chinese authorities. But that speech from the President is going to be very closely watched for future trade policy changes with respect to countries, especially in the global south. Remember the BRICS summit. President Xi Jinping pointed out there's a need for a lot more South-South trade. This could build on that idea. Thereafter, we're looking at a series of discussions of trade policy with regard to opening up economies, expanding trade flows, especially with the global south, and conversations on the intersection of trade, tech and investment, right alongside, of course, the massive main business exhibition too. There's about 250,000 square meters of space dedicated just to that. Lindy?
It should be very interesting indeed. Thank you so much, Rama. We look forward to staying in touch with you over the next few days as that summit gets underway.